This is the Databricks Data Engineer podcast. The only time anyone sees your platform work is when it's on fire, and you're the one holding the hose at 2 in the morning. By the end of this episode, you'll know why being the person who can always fix it is a ceiling, not a superpower, and how to climb out without abandoning the platform. Here's the shape of it. This one comes from a pattern I keep hearing from platform and reliability engineers. Same story, different company. They're the most thanked person on the team. And they haven't moved a level in 3 years. And nobody can quite explain why. So let me introduce you to the villain, because it's not the one you'd expect. It's not your manager. It's not the company. It's a quiet little idea that lives in your own head. The idea that the way to matter is to be the one who suffers to keep things running. Recognition by suffering. Hold on to that phrase. Let me tell you about 2 engineers. We'll call them Mark and Sarah. Same team, same platform, both load-bearing, both good. But their careers went in completely different directions, and the reason is the whole episode. Start with Mark. Mark is a legend. When the ingestion pipeline falls over at midnight, Mark is already in the war room before the page finishes buzzing. He knows every corner of the system. He's the name in every post-mortem. Thanks to Mark for the quick save, Slack lights up with fire emojis, and his manager tells him in every one-on-one that he's the backbone of the team. Here's the thing though, Mark is not doing anything wrong. Think about how he got here. Every incentive he's ever seen rewarded exactly this. The heroic fix got the applause. The 3 in the morning save got the thank you. Nobody ever threw a party for the quiet week where nothing broke. So Mark learned the lesson the system taught him. Be indispensable, and you'll be safe. Be the one who can always fix it, and they'll never let you go. Sound familiar? Because you probably learned that same lesson somewhere too. The trouble is what happens at promotion time. Picture the calibration meeting. Mark's name comes up for the senior promotion, and someone, usually someone who genuinely likes Mark, says the sentence that quietly ends his case. We can't move Mark. If he steps back from on-call, the whole thing falls apart. And everyone nods, because it's true, and that's the trap closing. Here's what nobody says out loud in that room. It's very hard to promote a load-bearing wall. You can admire it, you can thank it, you can build the entire house on top of it, and every so often a company moves it anyway, just to keep you. But usually, the moment they try, the ceiling comes down, so they leave it exactly where it is. Mark isn't being passed over in spite of how essential he is. He's being passed over because of it. There's a name for what Mark is in. I call it the martyr trap. The more irreplaceable you make yourself, the more you cap the level you can reach. Indispensability feels like job security. It's actually a promotion ceiling with your own name on it. The better you get at being the only one who can fix it, the more expensive it becomes to ever move you up. I used to think the way to be valuable on a platform team was to be the person who could always fix it. That the deepest knowledge won. I was wrong about that. The engineer with the deepest knowledge and the lowest number of people who could replace them isn't the most valuable person on the team. They're the most stuck. Now let me show you the other version, Sarah. Sarah's pipelines are just as load-bearing as Mark's. Same criticality, same blast radius if they go down. But Sarah is almost never in a war room. And last cycle, Sarah got promoted. Same starting level as Mark, same platform. So what did she do differently? 3 things. And none of them are self-promote louder or work harder. Watch closely, because this is the climb out. First, Sarah systematized the fire out of existence. When Mark gets paged for the same schema drift failure for the 5th time, Mark fixes it, fast, and goes back to bed. Proud. When Sarah got paged for that same class of failure twice, she stopped treating it as an incident to survive and started treating it as a bug in the system to remove. She built the check that catches schema drift at the door, so that whole failure class just stopped happening. Now here's the part that matters for your career. Mark measures himself in saves, hours online, pages answered. Sarah measures herself in incidents that no longer exist. One of those numbers only goes up when the platform is on fire. The other goes up when it's healthy. Guess which one reads better in a promotion packet? You're probably thinking, sure, but removing a whole failure class is a luxury. I barely have time to put the fires out, let alone prevent them. I hear you, and I'm not saying do it for all of them. I'm saying do it for one. Pick the single incident class that pages you the most, and spend the time to kill it instead of surviving it one more time. One fewer wall holding up the house. Second, Sarah made herself removable. This is the one that feels wrong in your gut, so stay with me. Mark's never really been given the room to write it all down. And honestly, being the only one who understands the system feels like value. Sarah did the opposite. She wrote the run book so 3 other people could handle the thing only she used to handle. She rotated the on-call so it didn't route through one human. She deliberately made herself less necessary. And you're thinking, that's insane. Isn't that just handing away my job security? Here's the flip. The person who can't be removed from on-call can't be moved up either. Making yourself removable from the hero seat is exactly what frees you to be moved into the bigger one. The number of people who could keep this running if you got hit by a bus, or, more happily, promoted. Mark's number is 1. That one is his cage. Think about it this way. You cannot move a load-bearing wall, but you can add a few columns beside it, spread the load, and suddenly the wall is free to become something else. That's what making yourself removable actually is. It's not giving away your value. It's redistributing the load, so you're allowed to grow. Now, I'm not going to pretend removable never has a cost. In a bad quarter, when the cuts come, the person nobody depends on can be the easier name to lose. So don't stop at removable. Removable plus visible leverage is the safe version. The runbook and the retired risk are what prove you're the one who builds the columns, not just one of them. Removable on its own is exposure. Removable with receipts is a promotion case. So build the receipts. Third, Sarah made the systematization legible. This is where the senior work usually goes uncredited, and it's the whole difference between doing the work and getting credit for it. Sarah didn't just prevent the incidents. She told the story of it, in the right language, at the right time. Once a quarter, Sarah sends a short note that says, in plain business terms, here are the 4 kinds of outages we used to have that we structurally cannot have anymore. And here's what an hour of that downtime used to cost us. When she migrated the platform, she didn't frame it as, I closed a pile of tickets. She framed it as, I retired this much risk. Same work. Completely different sentence. And the timing matters more than you'd think. Mark's work only becomes visible during the fire, at 2 in the morning, when the framing is, Mark saved us again. Sarah's work becomes visible before the review cycle, on a calm Tuesday, when the framing is, here's the risk I took off the table. One of those framings gets you a thank you. The other gets you a level. So here's the shift I actually want you to carry out of this. It's not that the firefighter isn't seen. Mark is seen more than anyone on the team. The problem was never visibility. The problem is what he's visible for. Recognition isn't the ceiling. Indispensability is. And you break it not by being noticed more, but by being needed less, in exactly the spot that's holding you down. So here's your self-test. Think back over your last quarter. When your platform work got noticed, what was the trigger? Was it a fire you put out, or a fire you made impossible? If every piece of recognition you can remember came from something being broken, you might be Mark. And that's not a character flaw. It's a signal. It means the system trained you well, and now it's time to train it back. One honest caveat before you go. All of this pays off where promotion actually rewards leverage. If your ladder is headcount gated or it's pure politics, these 3 moves still aren't wasted. They become the exact case study you carry to the next company that will reward them. Either way, you win. It's just a question of where. That's what I've got for you today. Here's the one question to sit with on your commute. If you disappeared from on-call tomorrow, would your platform be fine, or would it be on fire by Friday? If the honest answer is on fire, that's not proof of your value. That's the wall you need to start turning into columns. And look, none of this means the firefighting doesn't matter. The 2 in the morning saves are real, and the people carrying that pager are carrying the team. I just don't want that to be the ceiling of what any of them get to become. The goal was never to stop being essential. It's to be essential in a way they can actually afford to promote. If this one landed, send it to the engineer on your team, who's always in the war room. They've earned the message. See you next time.